Hey everyone, I am homesick today. Otherwise, I would have done like 6 different Facebook Live videos with Bitcoin above $92,000 today. But I am homesick, but not too sick to record at least one video. So wanted to cover something that a lot of people are asking, which is they all feel like they're late because they missed the last 30 or 40% run up on the price of Bitcoin since the election, which was all of what, a week ago, a week and a half ago, like a week ago. What they don't realize is that how early they are in the process as compared to everyone else. So if you are even aware that Bitcoin had a 30 or 40% price rise in the last week or two, you're way ahead of the game because the vast majority of the world is still asleep. So if you don't know this, if you're not constantly talking to your family or friends about Bitcoin, just ask a few of them just say, hey, what do you think of Bitcoin? And you'll find out in the course of a short conversation that they have no idea that the price is way up on Bitcoin. They didn't even know that it had come back from when the FTX crash in 2022. They thought Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX was the end of Bitcoin, and they hadn't even heard about it since. So you got to realize that if you are already paying attention, you're already ahead of 90% of Americans. If you are paying attention and you're a little bit up to speed on Bitcoin, meaning you're already, you've read anything, you have any sort of knowledge of Bitcoin beyond just a knowledge of its name, then instead of being ahead of 90% of the world, you're ahead of 93% of the world. If you own any Bitcoin, even literally $1, if you own $1 of Bitcoin, you are ahead of 95% of the world because 95% of the world owns 0 Bitcoin right now. 0% of Bitcoin right now is 95% of the world. The total world ownership of Bitcoin is less than 5%. If you own any meaningful amount of Bitcoin, let's say more than $200, then you're ahead of probably 97% of all the people in the world. So the reason you feel like you've missed out is because you saw the price of Bitcoin over the last week or so go crazy. And you thought, oh no, if I was going to invest a bunch in Bitcoin, I would have done that already. It's like, no, the vast majority of the world doesn't have any Bitcoin. You still have the opportunity of front running, meaning buying before everyone else, an asset that the vast majority of the world is not even aware is on a price tear right now. And if you own any Bitcoin at all, even $30, then you're ahead of the game because you have a much higher conviction level than people who own 0 and have no idea even how to go about it. So I titled this video, Don't Squander Your Lead, because I get the impression that everybody who follows me on Facebook is way ahead of the game on Bitcoin because they're even paying attention. They have any idea at all that it's out there, that it's growing, that it's doing its thing. And what most of them are assuming is that the entire world is where they are. The entire world is watching Bitcoin. The entire world is aware that it just went, a huge spike and that the entire world has already bought it before they did. Well, the entire world did not just buy it before you did because 95% of the world owns 0 Bitcoin today, this morning, 0. And 90% of the world, more than probably 93% of the world, is not even aware that Bitcoin's on a big price tear right now from, call it $70,000 to more than $90,000 per coin. The vast majority of the world has no idea. They are completely asleep. They have no idea that Bitcoin's on a tear. So for people who are reaching out to me saying, is now still a good time to buy Bitcoin? My answer is yes, yes, yes. Now, what's going to happen over the next 9 months? What's going to happen over the next 9 months is people are going to start reaching out to me that are farther and farther and farther behind the curve. So instead of the people who are literally texting me within a week of this huge price rise, which is, a fair number of you, instead of those people who are really on the front end, I'm going to start getting text messages out of the blue. Bitcoin's going to be up, I don't know, $150,000, $200,000 in, May, June, July of next year. And I'm going to be getting people out of the blue saying, hey, I've heard about this Bitcoin thing. Can I still get in at the ground level? Like, I just saw it pass $200,000. I'm super early, right? And the answer is, yeah, like you're technically, yeah, everybody's really early because this is a multi-decade adoption cycle and we still have, a decade or 2 or longer left. But, as I've predicted based on the last 4 years, Bitcoin probably hits a high in the hundreds of thousands of dollars in 2025. Then the price comes back down by 40 or 50% in 2026, and then it climbs. So let's use real numbers. Let's say the price rises to $280,000 a coin, and then it drops to $140,000 a coin in 2026, and then it climbs from 140 up to more than $500,000 in 2027, 2028, and 2029. So let's say it plays like that. Well, that doesn't mean, it's still a good time to buy summer of next year, but you're obviously a lot closer to that 280,000, and you're going to have to sort of bite your tongue while you go through a market downturn in 2026. And nobody knows how long that will be. Nobody knows if we'll even have a market downturn for Bitcoin in 2026. Nobody knows anything, including me. I don't have some secret, guide other than I've just watched the price for a lot of years, and Bitcoin, everybody in Bitcoin sees it do the same thing. 3 up years, 1 down year. So, 2011, 12, 13 up years, price correction in 2014. 15, 16, 17 up years, price correction in 2018. 19, 20, 21 up years, price correction in 2022, which would indicate we would have, up years in 2023, 2024, and 2025. And then 2026 will be a price correction year. So anyway, you're still very early. If you're paying attention, you're still really early. We're still under $100,000 per coin, which is still good. And there's still an opportunity to front run the vast majority of people on the planet who are still not even aware that Bitcoin is, has even taken off, or that it's a real thing. So you're still early. So if you're thinking, I want to put a bunch more money in Bitcoin, now's a good time. Obviously, what most people will do is they'll put a little bit more in now, and then a little bit more in at 100,000, and a little bit more in at 150. And about the time the market is absolutely insanely euphoric, up at $250,000 per coin, people are going to be like, I'm going all in. And no down. I mean, go all in at 250. That's fine. It just means you're going to have to live through 2026 when you feel like a fool, when the price is below that. And then you're going to have to wait till 27, 28, 29 for the price to get back above 250 and then well above 500,000. So in the long term, you're still a genius, but it just feels a lot better to be a genius when you put a lot more in under 100,000 than when you waited for 250,000 to go put a bunch more in. So you can still front run almost everyone. You can front run countries, you can front run companies, you can front run Wall Street, you can front run almost everybody, because almost everybody has no Bitcoin. And, it's still a fantastic time to buy. Your ability to front run all of those players will decrease over time. It is still a good time to do that, but it will decrease over time. So that's why I labeled this video, Don't Squander Your Lead. You're way ahead of the game right now. You're paying way more attention if you're watching this video than 95% of the world. Don't squander your lead. Whatever you're planning to put in Bitcoin, I would say go ahead and do it. That way, as the price goes insane over the next 9 to 12 months, you've already got that in Bitcoin, and you're not stressing and sweating about, oh no, I should have put in more, I should have put in more, I should have put in more. It could go down also. Obviously, you could buy right here at 92,000, and then the price goes back down to 70, and you have to wait a couple months back until it's above 92. That's a risk you take with any investment, but the foolish thing to do is to wait for the dip, because, I am not going to recommend Dave Portnoy's videos because they are extremely profanity laced. But Dave Portnoy posted on YouTube that he was, this was back when Bitcoin was like, I don't know, 49,000 a coin. He said, as soon as it hits 40,000, I'm going to buy somewhere between 2 million and 10 million of Bitcoin. And he had just been screwed over by not buying Bitcoin over and over and over. And he goes on these profanity-laced rants about how Bitcoin has left him behind. Anyway, so he did one of those recently and was basically saying, look, I don't know how I screwed this up again. This is like the 3rd, 4th, 5th time he's totally botched Bitcoin. He's like, I don't know how I screwed this up again. I put the money aside. I set it there. The price of Bitcoin was in the 40,000s. I committed that when it hit 40,000, when it dipped down to 40, I was going to buy millions of dollars out of it. I cannot imagine what I did wrong. The answer is, moron, you waited to buy it for a dip that never came. And now we're at 92,000 and you're still waiting with, I forget, it was $2 million or $10 million. I think it was like $10 million. Like, you're still waiting for $40,000 Bitcoin. You could have had $47,000 Bitcoin. Like when he posted the video, Bitcoin was, I don't know, 49,000 or whatever it was. It was in the 40s. So he could have had as much $47,000 Bitcoin as he wanted. But no, he had to have $40,000 Bitcoin that he's never going to get. And it's the same way. I've told this story numerous times. Back in 2002, in the depths of the bear market of 2002, Bitcoin, the lowest price it ever got, it was bouncing around between $15,500 and $17,000 for months, like 4 months. It was like 4 solid months. You could buy as much Bitcoin as you wanted between $15,500 and $17,000. And all of the people on Twitter were constantly bragging about how they were saving up all of their money to buy Bitcoin at 13,800. They had all run these charts and these graphs, and they were all certain that they were going to get at least one little dip to buy Bitcoin at 13,800. That was the magic number. They had figured it all out with their charts and graphs, and they had put in their buy orders. They had their, US dollars sitting on Coinbase with a buy order set to trigger at 13,800. They were just all so sure. The magic was 13,800. And all those people are sitting here. We're up at $92,000 a coin with all these people still waiting to buy their Bitcoin at 13,800. They're never going to buy it. Just like Dave Portnoy's at, Barstool Sports, his profanity-laced rants. He's never going to get his $40,000 Bitcoin. He's never going to get it. It's never going to happen. Now, he could buy Bitcoin right now, but he's not going to, because he's got it in his head that he wants it at 40,000, and he now admits that that's never going to happen. So Bitcoin humbles everybody. And everybody who thinks they're going to outsmart it, it outsmarts you. That's how Bitcoin works. And so the people who win are the people who buy as much Bitcoin as they can, hold on to it for as long as conceivably possible, and do that. Buy it on Coinbase. If you end up with a lot of it, stick it on Bitkey, Bitkey, bitkey.world. If you want it the most secure place, you're least likely to get hacked, you're least likely to get scammed, buy it on Coinbase. Move it to Bitkey when you end up with a lot of it. I'm not saying if you have if it's a small percent of your net worth, it's not worth the trouble. But if Bitcoin ends up being a large percent of your net worth, it's worth moving over to Bitkey. If all you have is retirement funds, it's shockingly easy to move, a 401k, an old 401k or a 403b or whatever, move it into a self-directed IRA and buy Bitcoin with it. Either, again, I'm not a financial advisor, but if it were me, I would buy the Fidelity Bitcoin, Wise Origin Bitcoin Trust, which is FBTC, F as in Foxtrot, BTC as in Bitcoin, FBTC, or the largest Bitcoin ETF, which is BlackRock, IBIT. IBIT is the ticker symbol there. They're both identical. They have exactly the same fees, exactly the same everything. I just like Fidelity because they custody the Bitcoin themselves versus BlackRock, which lets Coinbase do it, which just means you're trusting 2 companies instead of 1. And I'm all about trusting no companies. So if you have your Bitcoin on Bitkey, you're not trusting anybody but yourself. And it's super secure, it's super safe, and all that sort of stuff. So don't outsmart yourself here. If you're going to buy Bitcoin, go ahead and buy it, sit on it. Don't outsmart yourself. This is not a place to be outsmarting yourself. And again, back to the core thesis of this video. If you're paying attention to Bitcoin at all, you're way ahead of the game, because 95% of the world doesn't own any, and 93% of the world is not even aware that Bitcoin went on a huge price run the last few days. So it's literally as simple as that. So if you're paying attention at all, if you have any exposure to Bitcoin at all, you are way ahead of the game. Act accordingly while you still can. Let me know if you have questions. I'm happy to do more videos today. And, hopefully I'll get some medicine and start feeling better. Thanks, everyone.